Welcome to the Pro Brick exclusive YouTube channel. You're with Reverend Dr. Jason W. Morrison, theologist, New South Wales, Australia. I'm going to speak on the subject of dating advice. I've had two marriages, just let me say before we start. The first marriage I contributed to its demise, I guess, through passivity and not playing the role that I should have as a functioning husband. I guess I tried, but to be honest with you, there was some religious formation that needed to, spiritual and personal formation that needed to take place, and that wasn't healthy for the marriage. I can't blame my wife for the way it ended. It was just circumstances that caused it to be that way. Now, that's in the past now, and you can learn from those experiences. A lot of men suffer from passivity, personal passivity, and they struggle to. They've got they're like drug addicts, like a lot of marijuana smokers also complain about having all the ideas. They've got all the creativity, but they're not putting it into practice. It's not manifesting in their lives. They get off the drugs, and then all of a sudden, things start to manifest for them in a good and positive way. Well, a lot of men don't find their way out of this passivity. It could be from a bond with their mother. It could be from a wrong bond with their parents. It could be from a wrong bond with their children. It could be from wrong bonding with their friends. It could be a wrong bond with themselves. Sometimes if we're not honest with ourselves, we don't find or end up where we should. We don't find where we should be. We don't end up in life where we should be because of wrong bonds with people and primarily ourselves. If you've got a wrong bond with yourself, then you're not going to find truly where you should be. You're not developing. Not allowing yourself to develop in a way in which life is going to open up for you, where you'll be able to navigate life in a way in which you can dodge all its ways in which it can wreck you. That's why some people are so bound up with themselves they remain on drugs for the whole of their life. I've had so many friends die from alcohol and drugs, and people wonder why I'm against it. I've been against it long before that picture in this video. That's me at the age of 21. Surfer, motorcyclist, lover. I had a good life. I'm 57 now, and the body's a little bit sorer than it was then, but I still have a wonderful life because I decided at a young age to stay straight and protect my mind. You have no idea what the unpredictable things that life can throw at you. And if you have standards, you be careful, because 9 times out of 10, if you don't navigate your standards, and you better make sure they're right, you will end up on your own. You just will. Because not everybody is going to be able to or want to live by somebody else's values and beliefs. That's why you've got to find the right person. It's not just being the right person, it's finding the right person as well. I used to have a saying, you have to be the right person. No, you don't, because if you partner with a drinker, you can perfectly get along with that person if you want to, but you don't have to be like that person. I've gone out with many a girl that smoked pot. I don't. But I didn't have to be like her. I didn't have to do it. We got along fine. Usually these people sabotage themselves and everything else, but it's all experience. You learn from it all. Dating's not easy as much as it is easy now. With all these dating sites, all these options that you have, the way in which they try and present your information and your preferences on these sites, it's supposed to make it a whole lot easier. And the magic word there is supposed to. The problem is, and it's a big one, individual values and individual characteristical preferences, the way in which people navigate problems, the value they have towards the solutions, whether they do have value or not, or the level of value, the value they have for you, the will and the way in which they want the relationship to work. What are their defaults? People come into a relationship without defaults. They hide their defaults, but they go back to their defaults when pressures of relationships come out. That's what they do. They go back to their default. And for most people, when they go to their default, nobody else is welcome. Very difficult people to have relationships with, and it's all covert. Everybody has a need to have a relationship with somebody, to have some kind of friendship or intimacy with somebody, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? That's what life's about. The problem lies in all the multi-dimensional situations people are in within themselves and how they deal with things, comparative to or contrary to the way in which you will. When situations arise that are going to be uncomfortable but need to be resolved, 9 times out of 10 these situations will be from a third party, from an outside interference, from an outside influence, which I would say is fair to describe as an illegitimate influence, an influence that ought not to be involved in a relationship. People have to realize and understand that the relationship by its core is between two people. Yes, you are to have counsel, outside counsel, professional counsel, unbiased counsel, not friends that have no wisdom and are just going to say what you want to hear. No. Yes, you are to have a therapist if that be necessary for your mental health. Yes, there's nothing wrong with these types of mental health or life advice professionals. Yes, friends will be great to speak with and bounce things off, but you have to have the personal understanding that it may not 100% absolutely be right for you. And you have to have the ability to be able to go, well, I'll take that on board and I won't take this on board, etc., etc. If you don't, if you're just emotionally spread all over the place, you have no rock on which you stand. If you do have standards, you have to question whether your standards are being fair or whether they're just being rigid and unfair and pushing people away. A lot of people are on their own because of, quote, their standards. the standards are just too high for outsiders to cope with. And there's lots of reasons for this. Sometimes there's a third party outside the relationship whose standards the person you're with are applying to you, and they wonder why they have nobody. It could be a child, mum this, mum that, oh he's this or she's that. Could be a parent, oh they're this, they're that, you shouldn't, why have you, what about me, blah blah blah. These third party influences. Now if you're a woman and you have man friends and you're trying to have a relationship with a man, you're out of order before you start. Well, you might say, well, I'm entitled to have whoever I want. Yes, you are. But you've also got to have the mind and the wisdom to know when to have exclusivity and protect that exclusivity respectfully or not. Some people want everything. They want the relationship, they want the nightlife, they want all that they can get, but they end up with nothing, because that's how you end up when you want everything. Relationships have got a lot of responsibility attached to them, and they've got a lot of duty of care attached to them. A lot of people today think you can have the relationship and an outside partner. Who are you trying to kid? What culture are you from? Human nature, actually, it doesn't matter what culture you're from. If you read the Bible properly and watch the examples in there, it works out for nobody. Because people have feelings, and those feelings need to be respected, and those feelings are monogamous, like the God that made us. Monogamous. We're not designed to swap and change, but in today's situation of mix up and mess up and dark value systems, you can guarantee that there'll be swap and change, where marriage is being undermined and divorce is being glorified. You'll see these single women, oh, I've been divorced, the best day of my life. I've had a woman say to me, marrying me, the second wife, was the best day of her life. Well, I don't know what she was thinking after that, but it all didn't turn out that way when it come to resolve. And again, that was an instance of interfering adult children. You might think, well, he raves on about children all the time. It's going to be something that if you go out into the world, if your marriage has failed and you're having to enter into other people's families, you're going to find these issues. Now, is it the partner's fault? Probably, to an extent. They're the ones that have formed these families. They're the ones that have domestically and characteristically contributed to the formation of these families. And that's their tribal culture. That's the way that they live. That's the way that they are. And that might not be the same way that you are. And you have to try and find a way to integrate into that. And some people do not want you. How are you? Some people just don't want you to integrate into their culture or family. So you got to ask yourself before you start, is this and the person that is engaging you should know before they start. I know some women now that'll know before they start their children are going to do, adult children are going to do some things that they weren't previously aware of, or they're aware of now. If I've been there, they're aware now of what can happen. At my expense, not theirs. I guess to some extent their expense, but you have to be aware that there's different cultures amongst families that you may not fit into, you may not be welcome into. And you'll see if the woman likes you, she'll try hard at first, if she likes you. But if the children don't like you, that's a third party conflict of interest, and they'll wear at that woman. They'll wear and wear and wear at her, and it's going to come down to how much she values you. But they won't stop. They'll wear, and some of you women that are listening to this will be just sitting there going, how does he know? I know. I grew up as one of these children. My mother, I tell you, I used to push. She learnt to push back. She never let us interfere in her relationship. She was a very, very devoted woman to the men that she had in her life. And it makes it hard for these women that have found themselves in situations where they have children to find somebody to integrate into the DNA formation of their tribe. Some women don't want to confront the issue. Their children have been taught not to confront the issue. Just be sick. Let it make you sick. Don't deal with it. Because where things aren't resolved, there's always sickness, depression, anxiety, and all these other mental health. That's why there's so much mental health trouble today. Because nobody wants to resolve anything. Nobody knows how to resolve anything. You can't get in where I live to a counsellor for 6 weeks because nobody knows, has been culturalised to solve anything. Resolve is a dirty word in the modern day culture. Do not speak to me. Do not make me look in the mirror. Do not try and get me to see where I might need to improve. Oh, that's all sacrilege today in this modern society. And a lot of these mothers have formed it that way and don't know what to do when they meet someone and their children are going ballistic, relentlessly ballistic, like Russia bombing Ukraine. It's just relentless. And there's arms and legs everywhere. And this all happens and I've seen it happen in front of me dozens of times. But can you imagine what it's like when you're not there and they start? So you've got to accept that you're going into different domestic formations that are not necessarily used, that are not the same way that you are, and that's going to cause conflict. And if you're really serious about each other, then you need to know how to navigate these things. What is the best outcome for yourself and possibly the relationship if you decide to move forward? How can the relationship move forward without too much damage to these children, be it adult children, everyone else? What boundaries are going to be made around these outside influences, be it family members, extended family members, etc., because everyone's going to want to interfere. And what are going to be the conditions and aims and goals of the relationship? and they need to be adhered to. People will start well, but they don't normally finish too well. These are the things that people are not applying today. It's just all guessing, day by day guessing, and then they wonder why things collapse. This is Reverend Dr. Jason W. Morrison, theologist, New South Wales, Australia. Bye for now.